Everybody, my name's Ed. Cheers. I want to talk about a few of the comic books I bought last week, and then I'll show you some of the comic books I bought yesterday. I'm not going to do a review of everything, but just some of the ones that kind of stood out to me. Um, I got a strike on my last video because in the background you can hear the Clash playing. So they didn't make me take it down, but I just got this kind of warning or whatever that says any sort of money or monetization that comes from it was a third party warning, third party content warning. And it's like any money I make off these videos, will go to the copyright owner, which I guess is CBS Records. I'm not 100% sure right now, but like I said, you can hear the Clash in the background, and they came after me. I had that happened to me once a couple of years ago with where AC/DC was playing in the background. It was a little bit too loud. That one actually did take down because the video actually really wasn't that great. But okay, I just have to go back to being a little bit careful of what I'm listening to when I'm doing these videos, and I have to be cognizant of either turning stuff down or making sure whatever's playing is some artist that you know isn't a super stickler. So no more Led Zeppelin, no more Prince. But I've actually been pretty cognizant of not having like Prince play. I listen to like Prince all the time, but I always like turn it off before I shoot a video because Prince, even with the even before when Prince was alive, a Prince somebody would upload a Prince video and it would be gone like 2 days later. And yeah, and I'm sure his estate is still probably holding on to his wishes as far as having, official content versus people just uploading shit. Okay, anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Here we go. Okay, so Plastic Man #6. I pretty much enjoyed it. I thought it was a good romp. I thought Gail Simone found a good voice for the character. This is the end of the miniseries, and I thought they did a pretty good job of what a Plastic Man comic book should be. It's kind of funny, kind of lighthearted, kind of zany. Not all the jokes worked, but most of them did. Um, and at the same time, it still had a sort of serious enough tone to it that you felt something was at stake. So it wasn't just pure nonstop laughs. It did have some weight to it, but again, like I said, the laughs and things were there. So I thought it was like I said, an interesting miniseries. I had fun with it. Hopefully they'll do another one sometime soon. Bitterroot #1. The art is by well, let's see here. The comic is by David Walker, and the art is by Chuck Brown. And these are guys that were doing Power Man and Iron Fist for Marvel Comics like about a year or so ago. And I really enjoy this comic. It's actually set in either the 30s or 40s. It is about this family of, I guess, monster hunters or demon hunters or whatever. Most of this issue is kind of set up. It's kind of introducing the characters and the world they live in. And I thought it was fun. I thought it was well drawn. I thought the dialogue was good. You have, like I said, fun, interesting, likable characters. And I'm not going to get on a big high horse about this, but a lot of times when I'm on the internet, I see a lot of things where people are like, how come whenever we get, you know, minorities or black people in particular in comics or science fiction or fantasy, it's always something where um, it's particularly they're particularly dealing with racial issues, or they're in the hood and they have to fight drug dealers or gangs or something. How come we can't, like I said, have a straight up science fiction thing or whatever with the minority lead, or fannies or whatever? And this is exactly what this comic book is. But yet you don't have a whole lot of folks as far as I've seen so far talking about it. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. The art is a little bit better than it was in Power Man and Iron Fist. I think it's probably one hand. I think the art is just better. I think it's just more well done. I also think it's probably a case of it being a little bit more well suited to this particular um, to the material. So okay. Uh, Here is another comic I think a lot of people is the type of comic people say they want, but have been pretty much ignoring. West Coast Avengers. Basically, it's fun, it's lighthearted, it's written by Kelly Thompson, and the art is by Stefano Caselli. And yeah, it's fun, it's lighthearted, it's you know, good guys fighting monsters or whatever. The jokes work, the art is great, the pacing is good, and it's just like I said, it's a fun, lighthearted comic. This is basically MODOK has turned himself into this kind of surfer dude who's like Brodock, and he's using his, super evil science to turn women into like giant monsters and blah blah blah. But like I said, it's a fun romp. But I think a lot of people um, either ignore it or make judgments, make snap judgments on it because it's all these newer characters. It's Hawkeye and all these kind of quote unquote hipster characters. So people give it a pass, but I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's another one of those things where people are like, "Why don't Marvel and DC come up with more new characters? Here's some new characters." And it's like, "How dare Marvel and DC come out with new characters?" But okay, all right. Um, Juke Joint. Oh, okay, all right. Juke Joint number 2. T. Franklin and Alethea Martinez. Uh, I sort of enjoy this comic book, and I think I brought it up before. It's interesting how many surface similarities that this comic book shares with this House of Whispers coming out of DC Vertigo right now. There's a whole voodoo thing. There's a whole thing where the lead character is a woman of color, and she's a big bone woman of color. Uh, and of course, there's a supernatural element. Juke Joint, well, let's say House of Whispers is a bit more whimsical. Is a bit more about going in and out of, dreams and what is reality and this type of thing. And there's a lot more fun and likable on one hand. Juke Joint is a lot more dour, but it's also a lot more straightforward and simple. I should also mention both of these comics have LGBT themes in them as well. But so I probably enjoy Juke Joint a little bit more, but I kind of wish there was more of a, I don't know if it was a balance or if these stories could these two approaches could meet somewhere in between, in the middle. So it's not super serious and it's not super whimsical, just sort of in between. I would kind of like. Um, Middle West by Scotty Young and Jorge Corona. I didn't know anything about this comic before I bought it. I just picked it up on a whim. I saw Scotty Young's name on it, so I took a chance. Basically, it has to do with this kid. He's living in, I guess, the Midwest. He's kind of has sort of a hard life. He's got problems with his dad or whatever. He's got a few friends, but it doesn't seem like, well, he's got a few friends, but it looks like his best friend is this fox character. I guess he's a talking fox, and I'm not 100% sure if this talking fox is real or not. He doesn't seem to appear or talk when other characters are around, so he might be the kid's imaginary friend, or he might be a real spirit. There seems to be obviously this sort of fantasy supernatural bent to the comic as well. So this is basically just the first chapter. So, like I said, interesting setup. The only thing that I had a problem with was some of the dialogue with the dad and stuff, it just seemed a little bit too over the top, you know. And he just seemed just a little bit too crazy, and I think he just kind of talked, even the way an abusive dad wouldn't talk the way that, you know, this guy talks. He talks a little bit more like mean comic book mean comic book abusive dad, as opposed to an actual real life abusive dad or whatever. Cover number 3, Brian Michael Bendis and David Mack. Basically, the premise is the lead character is a comic book artist, and he's been recruited by the CIA to do like espionage work. And in this issue, he's been captured by somebody who incidentally himself is a comic book artist as well. The premise is kind of really not so great. It's kind of like silly, but I really do enjoy the art here. I think David Mack is really kicking ass as far as using the visuals of the comic book medium, as far as mixing up the different medias, you know, the watercolor, the pen and ink, and all that sort of thing, mixing up the different layouts, just the different techniques and everything. This part I think is funny when the main character is being interrogated by the other guy. The other guy knows that the main character's a comic book artist. And he's basically just giving him a hard time about, you know, doing dropping this old comic and doing a different new comic. And he's like, oh, I loved whatever it was, Samurai Odyssey, why are you doing this sad astronaut shit now, you know, and all that kind of stuff. It's really, I found it really funny. So like I said, the premise isn't good, the comic book is still enjoyable as a comic book. But okay, and American Carnage, number 1, Brian Hill, Leandro Fernandez, and Dean White. Basically, the premise is we have this guy who's a cop. He's biracial, but he's light-skinned enough that he can pass for white, and he's going to be going undercover. He's going to be going undercover in some white supremacist organization. It's stuff you've seen before, you know, the guy who's the you know, the cop who's got to, you know, he's got to go in deep and whatnot. And you've seen it. Hey, you've seen it in movie shows. You've seen it on TV. You've seen it in comics even. Hey, remember Scalped? Or actually, I didn't read the whole thing of Scalped. I read some of it, but anyway, as far as being a first issue, I pretty much enjoyed it. I really want to see where it goes. So yeah, I thought it was a good setup. All right. Okay, and I guess I'll show you some of the stuff I got yesterday. All right, so Ironheart number 1. Fantastic Four number 4. Man Eaters number 3. Book of Magic number 2. Or Books of Magic number 2. Heroes in Crisis number 3. Speaking of depressing comics, Wonder Woman 59 and Harley Quinn 52. I just bought this on a whim. Nice shiny cover. Ooh. Actually, this is a really cool illustration. Let's see, does it say who the artist is? I'm sure it does, but forgive me, I'm looking for the credits. Okay. Alex Sinclair. No, wait, no, that's colors. No, cover. Cover Julian Tontino Tedesco. Julio Totino Tedesco. And then variant cover by Frank Cho. Alright, okay. Really cool. Yeah. Alright. And what else here? Got some freebies. What is this? Stanley's Lucky Man? There's some flip comic, it looks like. The other one is The Theory. Comic Shop News. Oh, I got something else for you to show you. And this is Marvel Previews. I almost forgot about this. Got something from Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's a Hellboy trade. I ordered a few things. Okay, it is. Yep, it's the first Hellboy trade. Seeds of Destruction. I should do a review of this, but I don't know when I'll get to it. It might be a month or two before I get to it because I got a bunch of other stuff I want to do as well. But all right, so there you go. All right, that's it. Thank you everybody for watching. You guys have a great day.